So what are your recommendations to someone who, like myself, is tested high in cholesterol? Yeah. I mean, my cholesterol is down a little bit, but it was actually into the mid 300s. And that sent up an alarm from my doctor. So what would be your recommendations there in terms of what should the diet balance be in order to maintain a healthy level of cholesterol?
Yeah, so cholesterol is something that, people like to wave the red flag as soon as your LDL is elevated or your total cholesterol is elevated. But we know that that's actually a poor indicator of cardiovascular health. Just because you have more cholesterol in the body doesn't mean that you're having, atherosclerosis or any kind of issues developing. It's more so looking at the total inflammation of the body. So there's a lot of other lab markers that you should be doing if your cholesterol is elevated to see if that cholesterol is actually a risk. So the thing about cholesterol is we use it to build all of our sex hormones in our body. So we need cholesterol, and they're just shuttles that are in our body, and they just shuttle different things around, but doesn't necessarily mean that they are an issue. It's just that we have more shuttles in the body. So we want to also look at our HDL levels as well too. So a lot of times if we have elevated LDL, but we also have elevated HDL, that's our health promoting cholesterol that helps us secrete things out of the body, that it usually kind of balances itself out. But when we're looking at lipid profiles, if we do want to improve those, we definitely want to put a big emphasis on fiber and getting fiber from whole foods. So a lot of people, when they think about fiber, they're thinking about fiber supplementation, and a lot of fiber supplements out there are a low quality form of inulin, which can actually increase bloating and gastrointestinal symptoms. So we want to make sure that we're getting fiber from whole food sources. And that's because fiber from whole food sources is going to contain not only soluble fiber, but insoluble fiber, which is really critical for absorbing that excess cholesterol in the body and then secreting it out through the body as well too. So I always say, let's bump up the fiber intake. On average, I think the average American gets anywhere from like 10 to maybe 15 grams of fiber per day. I always recommend a minimum of at least 35 grams, and then even upwards of maybe 40 to 50 grams, especially if you're trying to correct those lipid profiles. Now, being said, if you do only eat 15 grams right now, I wouldn't say jump up the next day to 40 grams, because then you're going to really have some discomfort. It's a gradual increase of fiber over time, but it's also from a variety of leafy greens and different types of fiber sources as well too, to help balance those lipid profiles. The other thing is what you're already doing is strength training and exercising. So that's a huge component of detoxification. And then supporting liver health as well too. And then just supporting digestive health. So maybe taking a little bit deeper dive into your liver, see how you're detoxifying. Maybe take a little bit deeper dive into your gut microbiome and looking at your microbiome composition and seeing, do you have a lack of diversity in microbes, which can also contribute to higher levels of blood lipids as well too.
To the gut spit it out, Jeff. The gut microbiome. What are some of the things that would harm our gut microbiome that we should be concerned about, kind of nutritionally, pharmacologically, or just in our daily health practices that could damage it?
Yeah, a big component is added sugars in foods and processed foods in general. So those support the growth of non-health promoting bacteria in the gut and decrease the healthy bacteria as well. We also have a diet that's not high in fermented foods as well too, so we're not constantly re-inoculating and supporting the gut microbiome that we need to, like other cultures do. So decreasing the amount of processed sugars that we have in the diet, refined carbohydrates, and then increasing fermented foods and fibrous foods can help shift that microbiome into more of a health promoting profile. We can also, take probiotics as well too, but if we're not feeding the prebiotics, the fibrous food that it needs to be able to live, it's essentially just going to die off. So we want to make sure we're taking high quality probiotics to help re-inoculate the gut, but then we're also feeding it the foods that it needs to be able to thrive. Now there are certain conditions too, like overgrowths of like H. pylori and SIBO and things like that do need to be completely eradicated, sometimes by even antibiotics or higher strained nutraceuticals to be ordered to correct that profile. But in a general sense, if we can increase more fibrous food, more fermented food, and decrease those processed foods, we're going to be better off there. A big component also is stress. So stress, if we're in a hyper stress state, that is going to promote more production of those negative microbes and decrease the production of health promoting microbes as well. Sleep is another big component. So we repair our whole body when we're sleeping. So if we're sleep deprived, not only do we have more cravings for those hyperpalatable foods, which are going to also increase the production of that non-health promoting bacteria, but it's also going to shift our gut microbiome to be more of an unfavorable profile.